Hey everyone, once again, folks, just more proof positive example of the fact that all the pretense, all the bullshit narratives that you've heard so far by your political propagandists and their crony corporatist counterparts, it's all being shown and proven to be built on a house of cards. It can collapse at any time. So don't put a whole lot of weight into the kind of rhetoric these people are trying to say. This is another headline out of CBC News under the business section. New mortgage stress test rules will block 50,000 people from buying mortgage group. Instead of testing with rates 2 percentage points higher, try 3/4 of a percentage point higher instead, group urges. Right? So this is all in reference to the fact that the government is trying to quell or squash the direct consequence and result of their central planning initiatives in the past, or the central bank's intervention into the economy. They're seeing now that, oh shit, we really fucked up. So we're trying to do some damage control, right? But at the same time, every time they interject more central planning into the economic model and further remove free market fundamentals, they're seeing that it's fucking up everything in the economy and causing more pain, hardships economically and socially for more and more people on a continual and ongoing basis. But central planners, no matter what, listen, if there's one thing they will never do is say, oh, we need to just take a hands-off approach. We need to stop manipulating the economy, right? And dictating economic activities. They'll never do that. These are authoritarians. These are central planners. These are control freaks, man. They're never going to want to take the hands-off approach and let market corrections and fundamentals happen properly. That's not going to happen. They're going to keep trying time and time again, which is the end result of this constant intervention in the economy, in the natural markets, as you're going to see. You watch it play out, Canada, and you'll be able to say at some stage in the future, you'll be like, damn it, God damn it, that guy Bennett, he was fucking right. I'm pissed off that he was right because I lost a whole lot of income, and I thought for sure these central planners, hey, look, they're all supposed to be so smart. Well, they should have known more than Bennett. Well, watch and see how it plays out, folks. They're short-term thinkers. I'm not. I'm thinking of the macro picture. I'm thinking of the big picture. I don't care about getting into politics. I don't care about whether I can sustain my bullshit premise or narrative or dialogue or propaganda for a few years until I'm out of office. Like I say, I have kids and I'm a private sector guy. So I care about not just the next 4 years, 5 years, or 10 years. I care about the future too. New rules aimed at cracking down on the mortgage market will result in 100,000 people failing a stress test of their finances, and about half of them will be blocked from buying a home. Well, that's kind of a good thing, isn't it? If you can't meet those extremely low standards, it's a good thing that they won't lend you money, right? It's a good thing that you don't get to delve in the market. Otherwise, the more and more of these people that get into the market that shouldn't be there, well, it just shows you that you're just going to ramp up and speed up that pretense of what happened in the U.S. or a lot of these other countries. It's going to happen eventually anyways, because these people aren't going to be able to fucking keep, they might be able to sustain their bullshit for like, what, a few years? I mean, people can extend their credit cards or their line of credit for a while, but eventually it's going to catch up to you. So yeah, it's probably a good idea to stave or to subdue the amount of people that are doing this extended pretend bullshit for false economic stimulus. It's probably a really good idea to kind of push back against it. But the central planner's like, oh, but that means we might have to go through an actual recession. Oh, it's going to change the psychology and the animal spirits of the people. Well, it's going to happen whether it's now or later. But like I say, these Keynesians, they're all about that. Well, in the long run, we're all dead, right? So they're like, well, let's extend and pretend until we don't have to worry about it. And it's someone else that'll have to deal with the consequence or the results of all of our central planning. That's one of the major takeaways of a new report published Tuesday from Mortgage Professionals Canada, an industry group that represents 11,500 mortgage brokers, tenders, and insurers. The federal government has moved 7 times since 2008 to tighten rules around the real estate market, and practically every time the market has shrugged off higher rules around areas like maximum debt loads and amortization periods. But new rules implemented in October could be different. As of now, uninsured borrowers from federally regulated lenders must have their finances stress test to ensure they would be able to pay off their mortgage if rates were higher than they are today. To do that, the lender must run a test assuming rates were 2 percentage points higher than they are right now and see if borrowers would be able to pay off the loan. By the group's estimate based on the market today, 18% of mortgage borrowers who are stress tested would fail the stress test. Since there's roughly 700,000 homes sold every year in Canada and most of them involve some sort of mortgage, that means up to 100,000 buyers would fail the new stress test and be forbidden from buying the home they want at the price they want. So, once again, just more fucking proof, right? Even though these people aren't going to tell you this in honest, objective terms, they use political speech or legalese or twisting and distorting the narrative to kind of soothe your concerns. But really what this is saying is like, if people can't even handle a 2% raise in interest rates, it should tell anyone you're in a whole lot of trouble in the future, because interest rates, what they're talking about when you're talking about buying a home, you're talking about over a span of at least 25 years. And if you believe, let me just say this right now, okay, and I'm trying to be serious here. If you believe the interest rates over the next 25 years, because it's not just when you get to renew your mortgage, it's over the culmination of the entire time that you have a mortgage. So if you believe the interest rates are never going to go up in a 25-year time frame, well, I don't know what else to say other than you just don't understand macroeconomics, how pensions are funded, or long-term liabilities can be possibly sustained. Interest rates have to go up at some point. It has to happen. You can't function in this kind of environment. Well, you could if there was no such thing as unfunded liabilities or long-term pension plans or long-term government initiatives that put forth the presented narrative that they'll take care of you in the long run. Well, how are they going to do that? Right? How are you going to do that when everybody's in debt? When provinces are in debt, federal government's all in massive debt. We're talking record levels here too, folks. Federal debt, provincial debt, and personal debt. They're all like, we're all number one in Canada as far as mass amounts of debt. How the fuck are you going to contribute to these unfunded liabilities if everybody's in debt? You can't unless you have to have more money than you're bringing in to be able to contribute in the positive side of things, right? That's just economics 101, folks, right? But these fucking dipshits, they don't want to admit that. They constantly put forth these kind of narratives, these kind of dialogues, these kind of articles that on one side of their mouth they're saying, the economy's doing great, everything's great. Oh no, we're number one as far as we're growing fast in Canada. But at the same time, it's like, we're the most indebted, right? We have the highest deficits. We're the country that are forcing obligations onto future and successive generations. Like I've said time and time again. If you're not paying attention to people like me, I mean, hey, listen, I'm taking care of myself. My family's taking care of. So as far as that goes, what I say is, if you don't listen to me, I don't care. I'm okay either way. I'm going to be okay. My family is going to be okay, no matter what you decide. No matter what. No matter if you hate me, you're like me, or anywhere. No matter if you like what I got to say, or you detest or loathe what I got to say. It doesn't matter. I'm not reliant on your opinions or what you do economically or financially. I'm just trying to help you. But if you don't want to listen, okay, keep listening to this stuff, the rhetoric, these central planners, these dictates, these authoritarians, these control freaks, these sociopaths, keep listening to what they got to say. But in the end, you're going to suffer. It won't be them, right? It'll be you. Unless you want to stand up and defend yourself, then you can impose some of that hardship on these people. But so far, I'm looking at it on the landscape, and it seems like Canadians are very sheepish and willing to adopt and accept the fact that they're going to be the subjects that'll have the hardships imposed on them. They're unwilling to impose the hardships on their central planning masters, their political deities, or their opinion makers. Well, you really are altruistic. If you're willing to suffer all the pain and all the consequences of what they do and allow them to make off like bandits as a consequence, that's not just altruistic. Weird, man. Very cult-like, very much in line with making yourself a sacrificial lamb for the ruling class. You should have some self-esteem, some self-respect, and not be willing to accept being subject, serfs, or slaves to the ruling class, and be willing to force that and impose that on your future and successive generations. If you want to lead by example, you might want to try pushing back against that, because your successive generations, yeah, they're not going to be very happy about what you've done at all. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.